Welcome to the Dog Dad Show. I'm your host, Joel Laban, a proud dog dad to two amazing foster fails, Sadie and Kaye. This podcast is all about learning more about our furry friends and the incredible ways that they enrich our lives. Join me on my mission to become a more informed, compassionate, and educated dog dad, one episode at a time. From running a top-tier dog resort to launching a leading dog training academy, Penny DiLoreto is all about setting dogs and their humans up for success. Today we talk with the certified dog trainer and founder of Hot Diggity Dog Resort and Think Like a Dog University about building better bonds with our furry friends, training tips, and what it really takes to raise a well-behaved pup. Enjoy. Penny, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Joel. It's my pleasure to be here.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine, but I'm glad you're excited for it. So my first question I ask everybody is, when did your love for dogs begin?
You know, I can't remember ever not having a pet, but specifically a dog in my life. My family growing up, they were big dog lovers, and so we always had a couple of dogs, cats, hamsters, what have you in our home. So, I just kind of grew up with that love, and it just all grew from there.
That's awesome. When did you get your first dog of your own?
Oh, gosh. I think it was after I was married, and we got two dogs and two little, Heinz 57, as they call it. And and we have always had dogs in our home, in our life. We just had a 14 and a 15-year-old dog. Both of them were mates, and they passed recently. So now we're on to two new dogs.
Oh, that's awesome. This is my first experience. Not that they passed away, but I'm glad you got the two new dogs. This is my first experience. I've always had one dog at a time, and now I have two dogs at a time, and I absolutely love it. It's the best. It's the best way to go.
Yeah, they entertain each other when you're busy. They've got a playmate to hang out with.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I like about it too. All right. So Penny, there's so many things I want to talk to you about. You are a certified animal behaviorist, a dog trainer, a master groomer. You are the co-owner of a pet spa in California. Sorry, I thought I had the name of it down, but
Hot Diggity Dog Resort.
Hot Diggity Dog Resort. You are the owner, you founded Think Like a Dog University, and so many more. So I'm almost overwhelmed and humbled to just even be able to ask you a question. What's something you're excited about talking about today?
It sounds like I'm an overachiever, and I guess somewhat I am. But I started out years ago as a dog breeder.
Okay.
And I had a little, because I grew up with dogs all my life, I had some basic training skills, come sit down, stay. And I took some online courses on how to be how to train a dog. So by the time the people would come to pick up their forever home parents, their dog, they already knew some basic training skills.
Mm-hmm.
And the people were like, gosh, where can I bring my dog back for additional training? And then they would tell their friends, and pretty soon it just grew too big to do out of my home. I was doing it out of my home. I just had a couple of dogs and a couple of litters a year. So we opened up Hot Diggity Dog Resort, and I'm just really excited that, today is our anniversary. We've been in business for 13 years.
Oh my gosh, we are recording this won't be released for a couple of days, but we're recording this on April Fool's. So when you said that, or April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. So when you said that, I almost thought you were trying to get me, but I think you're being serious.
No, I'm serious. But we were wondering, was that a good move to open up on April Fool's Day? But 13 years later, we see that was a great move. So that was our brick and mortar that we started back then. The online university, I started that much later, I think right prior to COVID. And I started that for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to reach out to people who didn't live in my community, people who live close to me. I'm in a suburb of San Diego. They bring their dogs to us, Hot Diggity Dog Resort, for boarding, training, daycare, grooming. But I wanted to reach out to those who couldn't make it into our facility. And and work with them with their dog training needs. And so I started the online Think Like a Dog University. And it became really successful. And then COVID hit. So it was pretty good timing because people couldn't come in. So I still could carry on the relationship with those people who needed help through the online courses.
And bittersweet, because I know there's been some bitterness to it all of people. But then a lot also with COVID, people got a lot more dogs. I hadn't had a dog for 6 years. Until COVID, and I was like, I think it's time to get a dog. And then I got a dog, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's time for 2 dogs.
Well, they say they're like potato chips. You can't have just one.
I love that. I might call my next dog Potato Chip just for that. I love that. So, which, again, this conversation can go wherever you want to. But you've talked about Hot Diggity Dog, and you've talked about Think Like a Dog University. Do you want to talk about anything else before I start diving in to ask you those questions about whatever my mind comes up with?
No, I think that pretty much leads us into anything that you have to ask.
Perfect. Okay, well, so it'll go from crazy and obscure to like serious, but first of all, you said you breeded dogs. What breed were you breeding at the beginning?
Yeah, they were Boston Terriers.
Oh, okay.
And I stopped doing that about the time we opened the brick and mortar. So it's been 13 years because I felt like I didn't have the time trying to run the Hot Diggity Dog Resort and properly spend my time with the breeding dogs. So I stopped doing that. But today, 13 years later, I'm still getting calls from people who purchased dogs back then that saying they're just now, geriatric and starting to pass and want to know if I'm still breeding. So I still have a really close relationship with that community of people. And so it's been a blessing.
I've only got one dog from a breeder, but I definitely see how you develop a bond with a breeder, and I hopefully these people are still breeding German Shorthair Pointers whenever I'm ready for my next one because I would like to go back. It's every dog I've ever had I got from the pound, but the one and only my first GSP. And my first dog I got from a breeder, I was like, this is my best friend. And so now I'm German Shorthair Pointer is my breed. They're my human equivalent of myself.
Well, they're great dogs. And, a lot of people like yourself, they want to rescue. They want to get a dog from a shelter. And I completely understand that. Unfortunately, not all people are suitable or lifestyles are suitable for rescue dogs because you've probably found out that they come with some behavioral problems or issues that some people, older people or maybe people with young children, can't have that in their homes. So going with a breeder is a good option to have a puppy in your home, or going to a shelter and adopting a dog. That you've got the pros and cons on both sides.
Absolutely, yeah. And I also foster for a GSP rescue, and so I have a lot coming in and out. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like some dogs do come in with 0 issues, and some of them come in with some significant issues that they need to work out with. And whenever I'm helping place them in a house, like I'm really cognizant of like, no, they can't go to that house. Like that's going to be set up to fail in that house.
Yeah, that's so true.
So Think Like a Dog University. What do you think is, because I love the idea that you're teaching people online, because when you're teaching people person to person, especially with the dog, you're kind of teaching both at the same time, right? The dog and the person, but online, you're 100% talking to the human. And I think that a lot of people, the first step to being a better dog trainer or even just communicators, understand that they do not communicate like us. You can't say a sentence with 12 words in it and expect them to clock 3 of them. And you're like, oh, they know what I'm talking about. They don't. So how do you handle that of like kind of conveying what you're doing and what your methods are? And do you think it's more effective or what benefits does it have?
Well, like most things in life, there's pros and cons to both. And, if you're looking for a group class where there's going to be a lot of other dogs or puppies there and you want socialization, obviously you're not going to want an online course for that. But if you're looking for someone that they're going to be able to tailor that, your training, your classes to your specific needs, then an online course is a great way to go. Because I do both. I do in person and I do group lessons and I do online. So I see the benefits really depends on the person's needs or the training that they're looking for. If they've got a dog who is highly reactive to other dogs or other people, you certainly wouldn't want to take that dog to a group class. So it just depends. It's really 100% tailored to the needs of the dog and the client that you're working with. But with an online course, like you said, you're so smart. You're not going to put the dog in front of the camera and say, okay, listen to what Penny has to say. Let me give potty training as an example. It's the human. Whenever a dog makes a mistake, it's usually human error. You gave the dog way too much freedom in your home. Young puppies can't have all that freedom. They learn really quickly that they can hide behind the curtains or go under the bed or behind the couch and do their business, and no one's going to know. No one's going to get mad at them or take them outside. So that means that you've given them way too much freedom in the home. The other thing is timing. So all of these points that you need to go over and make understood is human-based. So that would be one of the classes that's ideal for an online course. Crate training's another one. You can't tell a dog, okay, here's the crate, get in it and enjoy it. It's the human. How does the human work with the dog? What do they do? And maybe more importantly, what they should not do when introducing a dog to a crate. So that's another example of a great course that you could take online. The other thing is online courses tend to be a lot less expensive than in-person courses. So if you're looking for training on a budget, then an online course might be your best option.
Yeah, I love that. It's really interesting. So I'm on her website right now, and it's the company's called Think Like a Dog University, and the website is that an acronym?
Yes, TLADU.
Yeah, so
TLADU.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off, Penny. Say it cleanly for us.
TLADU. It's TLADU for TLAD, Think Like a Dog University.
.com. Yep.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I love it. And she's got tons of online courses, a book for potty training, all this stuff. So I want this podcast to be beneficial for everybody, but at the end of the day, I'm a self-centered person. So I'm going to ask a question that's just centered for myself, and hopefully somebody else can get a little bit out of it. Snake avoidance. So my dogs are naturally curious. A year and a half ago, I had a job offer in Orlando, Florida, and I did not take it because my dogs love swimming. And I was like, I'm gonna watch one of my dogs get eaten by an alligator, because it's because the alligators love dogs, because dogs go to the water line, the alligator stays still, the dog barks, gets closer, the alligator just stays still, and then it's in striking zone. So, but then I heard that you can teach them alligator class, and then I knew like snake avoidance classes and stuff. How do you do that? I can get my dogs to leave it. Like I can drop a piece of bacon on the floor and say, leave it. But how do you teach them to like run away from that stuff?
That's your first step right there, the leave it. Matter of fact, we put a lot of emphasis on the leave it command when we're working with snake avoidance. There are some places out there that they claim that they muzzle a live rattlesnake and they have the snake there, and they put shock collars on the dogs. And when the dog looks at the snake, they zap the dog. And now the dog learns that not to look at the snake or to go near the snake. And you might be able to train a dog effectively doing that, but you've trained the dog by use of fear. And I don't believe in that. All of our training is positive reinforcement. So we teach the dog that moving away from the snake is a positive, good thing, a fun thing to do,
Interesting.
instead of punishment based. And you take away the punishment, and the dog's going to go back to the behavior. So we make it very reinforced with positive things. We give treats. The owner runs away, and dogs love nothing better than to chase after their parents, especially the breed that you have. So we use a lot of what we call decoy snakes. They're rubber snakes that look just like real snakes. We record the sound of rattlesnakes, although we're not pinpointing rattlesnakes. We're teaching the dog, if it's a snake, if it slithers in the grass, stay away from it. It's more fun to run away from it. It's more rewarding to run away from it than it is to go towards it.
That is, man, the more I learn about dog training, the more my mind's blown, and it also it opens my eyes a lot to like even just human communication, because often the thing isn't, our brains don't work how we like to think that they work. If you say don't go close to the snake, you're going to go close to the snake. But if you say have fun running away from this snake, they're going to have fun running. But I'd be so stuck on, I said don't go to the snake. I said don't go to the snake. Snake bad. But and it's just so incredible. I think it's I find myself in my daily life a lot going with communication with people a lot too. We kind of communicated that differently than each other. So
that one of the things that I help to explain to people is, if you look at it as working with a child, and let's say you go in your child's room and it's a mess, and you say to your child, clean up this room, and I'm going to be back in 30 minutes. If the room is still a mess, you're grounded for a week. Or you could say, I'm going to be back in 30 minutes if your room is clean the way I expect it to be clean, not shoved under your bed. Then after dinner, we'll go out for ice cream. You're going to get the same results, but one is based on fear and resentment. One is based on positive and rewards.
And I like how you set up the expectations with the positive and rewards about as I would expect it, because I don't have kids, but I have nieces and nephews, and I've watched other people's kids where it's like, you say that, go into the room, give 15 minutes to clean it or whatever, and you go back in and you're like, this isn't clean. That's not what I expected is clean. And now it's a fight before the same result happens.
So true. And it turns into a negative. And, they'll put up negative, and people will put up with negative until they can get out of the situation. And that's why a lot of times we see kids that, I can't wait to get out of home. I can't wait to get out of my home, unfortunately. So positive praise, reward-based systems are always, it's leading to more love and bonding than fear and punishment.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. So I'm going to use that as a weird bridge, because you said with treats and, as rewards. So this is something on your website that I'm looking at right now, and I clicked on it because it says it's like your pet snacks, products for dogs, but then it says like all natural, right? And that's what really kind of made me click on the link of like, oh, this is all going to be all natural stuff. Because I think for me, and I think for a lot of dog owners, we're so confused about what we can actually feed our dogs and what's healthy for them. What have you found, and why are you so, because there's a bunch of products on here, even, antler sticks instead of rawhide. So why do you think it's so important that we feed our dogs natural stuff?
Well, diet does more than just, makes your dog fat, or fills your dog up. It actually affects their behavior and their temperament. A dog in a bad diet can have emotional problems. It can have aggression problems and anxiety. So really making sure that you understand. And it's so funny that you asked me that, because I have written a book on that I'll send you the link to, and you can share with your people on the proper nutrition. My husband and my business, he's my husband and my business partner. He has written a book on pet nutrition as well. He is a pet nutritionist. And so, I've just found that there's so much misinformation out there on proper diets and what is all natural. They'll say, "Oh, look at the ingredient level. If there's meat in it, well, the meat that's in it is it's the weight is where it's at in that labeling.
Uh-huh.
So, if you say, okay, well, chicken's number one, that's got to be the best thing. But what people don't know is that they weigh that chicken breast before it's processed. And so by the time it gets in the food, it may be way low and not the amount of chicken breast that you thought was in that product.
Interesting. And where other stuff might be not be reduced so much during the processing process, so whenever you actually get it, the grains are actually spiked or whatever.
So true. So true. So it's very interesting. The more you understand and get into that, you start realizing that how important that proper nutrition, that role plays in your dog's overall being, not just its weight, but certainly its behavior, its skin, its coat, everything.
And that's really interesting that you say behavior, because I hadn't really thought about that. But the one thing that, and the reason that got me going on my kind of food journey for my dogs is every time I saw somebody with an unexpectedly elderly dog, something that was like, whoa, that looks like a really old Great Dane, or something that just you don't see that often. I would ask them what the secret was, and 10 out of 10 times they'd say diet. They say, I feed them, whatever they feed them. And it was kind of a variety of stuff, but hardly ever was it, just kibble, Purina kibble from, the dollar store. So if somebody's wants to, like myself, it wants to go on a journey of feeding their dogs healthier food, what do you think's just like one or two simple first steps people can take that make a big difference?
Well, one of the things like you just mentioned, don't go for the whatever kibble is on sale at, wherever you shop. Even if you are budget conscious, buying the higher priced or buying some good lean meats, chicken breasts, and preparing your own is always a better option. And it's going to save you money in the long run because the vet bills that you're going to have later on as the dog gets older, or even young dogs. They're seeing now young dogs having kidney problems and different liver problems because of this unhealthy diet. If you want, a lot of people say, well, I like kibble because it's good for their teeth. Well, that's fine. But make kibble like 1/3. The other 2/3 top with some lean meats. Vegetables are always a really good option to top with. Carrots, broccoli, good option to top your dog's food with. Another thing that's so important that people don't realize is that kibble is such a dehydrated product that you're actually dehydrating your dog. And they need a lot more water. And we're seeing a lot of dogs and cats with kidney problems now because of that. So moisture is very important for animals.
Interesting. I love that, the knowledge of that it's dehydrating, because I think that that's so important, especially whenever extreme temperatures, to understand how hydrated your pets really are. Whenever I had a foster, he was lost in the woods, and when they found him, he was severely underweight. And so my first goal was just to put weight on him. And so my first step was I'd set his food in warm water for 30 seconds or something. But I hadn't even thought about, and that's just what the rescue told me to do to kind of help him process it, or help his stomach digest it. So, it's like somebody who's a human, that's been malnourished. They don't just here's 3 cheeseburgers, it's 500 calories today and 1,200 calories tomorrow. But I hadn't thought about that because it worked. But the water, I bet, really kind of helped him get rehydrated that way.
Right. And then another product that's really kind of new on the market nowadays, or more research, science-based research, is on the turkey tail mushroom. And that is just an incredible product that helps with the immune system. So if you could get some supplements that has the turkey tail, you could actually put that on the dog's food. Now they come in different like little treats that you can get. I think they call them mush puppies, and one's called secret sauce, but it's got that mushroom in it. They don't call it the turkey tail. That's what it is. The common name for it. It's something Coriolis or something. You can look that up. I'm a dog behaviorist, not a chemist, but
I like the clarification.
Yeah. But it's a great supplement to add to your dog's diet they claim that it's more like a coach or a superfood for your dog.
Interesting.
And pets. It's not just dogs. It's guinea pigs, rabbits, cats. Any of your listeners that, well, I don't have a dog, but it's good even for horses. So.
Interesting. Sorry, right? Horses, veterinarian medicine. My mind went to a certain spot. Okay, so what was it called again? Turkey tail?
Yes, and you can learn all about it. It's called. I have a link on my website for that. It's TLADU.petclub247.com. And that it gives you all of that information. Or you can just go to my website, TLADU.com, and click on the pet nutrition tab.
Interesting. Okay, I love it. I'm actually perusing. I've moved over to your Hot Diggity Dog Resort and looking at. I love that. So, Hot Diggity Dog, that's in Escondido, California?
Correct.
And you also, if you're not in Escondido, California, or don't plan to visit there, you can't use her amazing services for this. But at the Hot Diggity Dog, they do boarding, daycare, grooming, training, veterinarian classes, and then some trainings right there. It is. You're a groomer. I'm trying to think about this, about how I can ask it as a guilty question and non-guilty. What do you think the one thing that you wish people did for their dogs more often when they brought them in for grooming? What are simple things that you wish that they just did on a daily or weekly basis?
The biggest overlooked, even with the short hair breed like you have, is brushing. Brush. And, people complain about dog shedding. If you would just get a brush, and there's different types of brushes out there. I don't care. Just brush. Find the one that you like best and your dog likes, and brush. That will take care of the shedding issue. It's so important to get that, especially with double-coated dogs, to get that undercoat out. People will bring their double-coated dog in, and want us to shave it down, and we won't do it. We'll refuse it. That they have a double coat for a reason. The undercoat is there to protect the dog from sunlight and from cold temperatures, and the outer coat aerates that undercoat. If you cut that outer coat off, that undercoat turns into like a wet cotton ball, and it's just going to do more damage. It's not going to make your dog cooler. It's not going to help with shedding because it's the undercoat that sheds.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you're just not going to get the results that you were hoping for, and your dog's the one that's going to suffer.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I love that you all have the follow through or the compassion for the dog. Because I mean, you could just be like, "Yeah, give me your $50. You're an idiot. This isn't what you're supposed to do," but and take their money. But instead, you go, "No, because the dog's care is what you all are focused on."
Well, and you're so true, because people will come in, well, so and so down the street, they shaved my dog down last time. I don't recommend it, and here's why. And if you educate, people are really they want what's best. Their dogs in most cases is their family, their kids. And when you take just a moment, and explain to them why we won't do it, then they understand, and they're happy. They appreciate that you cared enough to share that with them.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point, that a lot of people don't know that they're wrong. So when they say shave my dog because I want him to be cool in the summertime, and you go, actually, it's not going to work like that. Their first response isn't going, oh, thanks for educating me on that. Their first response is like, no, obviously I'm right. Obviously I've shaved my head. I understand how much cooler it makes me, so that's the first response. So absolutely, like, educate. Because also at the end of the day, they're making them better informed dog parents. And that's legitimate. The reason I started this podcast is because I know I make mistakes with my dogs and I just want to get better.
Well, and also shaving a double-coated dog down can cause the dog to have alopecia, and alopecia is where the hair won't grow back. And so, but unfortunately, you don't end up with like a hairless cat. It comes back in places and bald in other places. So then it looks like the dog has mange, or it's some poor dog that needs to be rescued, and it's not a pretty sight.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mange. I think that's a great way to describe it, as I, pull up a couple of images of it. Penny, you have been so gracious with your time. We're coming on 29 minutes, so almost 30 minutes. Do you have a couple more questions for us or a couple more minutes to ask some silly questions, or do you need to get out of here?
No, I'm yours.
Okay. That sounds great. Okay. Is there anything we haven't talked about yet as I peruse your websites to find my next question? Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm yours. You find the questions and I'll answer to the best of my ability.
So this is something I've been wanting to have somebody on to talk about, but I haven't found the right person, and you might not be the right person. So if you just say next, but you had an introduction older dogs to new puppies, which I'm curious, but what it made me think of is what I've been really wanting to talk about is end of life care for animals. Are you experiencing that I know you talked about losing your two dogs, but do you help patients or do you help people with that?
Well, I have a vet who does.
Uh-huh.
We have a vet that comes into our facility. She does vaccinations, health checks, and teeth cleaning. She doesn't do any surgical procedures, and she doesn't do end-of-life care. But I do have another in our building, in our business building. Right in the corner it's called Paws to Life, PAWS to Life, and they perform that service. I had unfortunately had to do that with my 15-year-old dog who he was losing his cognitive ability to even get around and his faculties, and so we finally decided, you have to take into consideration quality of life.
Yeah.
What would I want? And I told my husband, if you're around and I'm like that, please help me out with that, because no one wants to live that way.
Yeah.
So they come into your home. They're very gentle, very kind. They take all the time that you need as the loving pet owner. And then when it's time, they give them a little shot and they go to sleep. And then they will, if you want the ashes or any mementos, they'll send that to you. And I recommend. I wish we didn't need that service, but when we do, I do highly recommend them. It's called Paws to Grace.
And they come into your house. That's great.
They come to your home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think of I had a dog. It was a foster that passed away. And I rushed it to the vet clinic, and just walking out, like I left with him, but I just walked out, and I didn't want any interaction with a single, even walking through a door of like, thanks for holding that door open with me or anything. Like I just wanted to get to a place where I could just lose it. So, and that was a dog I'd had for 9 days. So I think being at home was really nice, and it's nice for the dog too.
Well, it was. He was on my lap, and when it's all done, they gently take the dog with them to so they can continue doing what needs to be done. But so I can't recommend it enough. And I've talked to many people that has gone with Paws to Grace. I've recommended them if they needed it, and they've had the same experience as me. It's displeasant to do it, but they make it as pleasant as it can be.
Yeah, well, thanks for talking about that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up an unhappy memory, but it's something I'm really curious about, and I do think that it's helpful for people to hear because people you never think about stuff until it's that time, and then so many times we've made the wrong decision and we regret it and go, oh, I wish I would have researched for another 2 weeks or 2 hours before I made a decision. So for you, kind of like watching quality of life was the final deciding factor.
Yes, it was. And we put it off as long. He
Of
went in for
course.
surgery. Yeah, he went in for surgery, or was both scheduled for surgery for one thing, and they got in there. They couldn't even put the trach tube in. They found out he had cancer in his throat, and his throat was closing off. And we scheduled it because we didn't want him to suffocate. And he seemed to be getting better, so we canceled it and said we're not going to go that route. And then, oh gosh, about a month later, he just went so much downhill during that month that we said, he doesn't. If he could speak, he would say, "Mom, please, I can't live like this any longer." So that was why we did it.
Yeah, I think that's and I think that when you told your husband of like, if I'm ever like that, then that's a pretty good indication that he's probably thinking pretty close to the same thing.
Yeah.
So you have a blog as well.
I have a blog, and I'm starting to do some podcasts like you as well. You're inspiring me to do that. So,
well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I just started as well. So you have to teach me some of the ropes too. But I love this.
Yeah. No, I'm not the one to teach that. I'm a dog trainer. Remember, you're the blogger.
I know, and dogs are smarter than me, so I don't even make the admission. Yeah, man. So I go to tladu.com and you got access to her blog. You got access to her yourbest.petclub247.com with all of those fresh products that we talked about. And it's just with the blog, there's so many articles. You got those training courses with tons to choose from, and you can just take one course at a time. You have to, so you can see if you like it or not before you invest in other things. This is really amazing, Penny. You've done an incredible job, and keep building.
Well, thank you. Every time I start one thing and it starts leading into something else, oh yeah, I got to do that now. I got to research that now. And oh yeah, I've got, that sounds like I can really help people in that area. So It's really grew organically over the years. I've been doing this for 20 years. So it isn't something I started yesterday,
That's awesome. So what's next?
No, no. I think I'm very happy where I'm at.
I love that. No, reject.
Yeah. What was that word you said? Back up or whatever.
Yeah. So, absolutely. I don't know what it was, but yes. Don't go down that. Oh yeah. I said cut it out, or yeah.
Yeah, cut out. Cut. Nothing else. My plate's full.
I love that, Penny. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I could talk to you for hours, and maybe you could come back on and I could show you some more of my amazing podcasting ropes. You could tell.
I would love that.
It's just show up and smile and try to listen.
I would love to come back on anytime. You just let me know.
Absolutely. Well, Penny, thank you so much. Is there anything else you have that you want to share with my audience before you go?
No, just it was such a pleasure to be here, and just everyone keep loving your pets.
Yes, absolutely. And sorry, I didn't ask you, what's the name of the podcast?
It's Pause and Reflect. Pause, PAWS, and Reflect.
Oh, check it out, people. And you all are releasing podcast episodes now?
Well, I'm still building. I've got one,
okay,
but I didn't even do it. Somebody else did it. I'm a guest on it. But if you go on TLAD, TLADU, there's a tab for podcast. You click on it, and you'll see that there's one going to be on that book that my husband wrote on nutrition. Matter of fact, I'll probably going to record that this week and have that up in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to check it out. Pause and Reflect, the podcast. Well, Penny, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you do for our furry friends. You're an incredible resource for everybody.
Thank you so much.
This show is just me, a laptop, and a mission to keep dogs out of shelters by creating more informed, empowered dog owners. And your support truly means everything. So if you enjoyed today's episode and would like to support the show, please give the Dog Dad a 5-star rating, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share it with fellow dog lovers. It would truly mean the world to me. If you or your business or organization would like to be featured on an upcoming episode, shoot me an email at thedogdadshow@gmail.com. Sadie and Kaye would like me to mention that they're also on the team. While they think sleeping in a chair in my office while I do all the work is support, it's not exactly the help I'm looking for. See you next week.